So today we will study the 10 aspects of the Big Five. Personality trait dimensions can be categorized by arranging them into hierarchies based on their intercorrelations. Broad domains are located near the top of the hierarchy, and very specific patterns of behavior and experiences are located near the bottom. The Big Five, or five-factor model, is the most widely used classification system for personality traits, identifying 5 broad domains of personality: extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness intellect. Most research on the Big Five has focused on a two-level hierarchy, with 5 domains at the top subsuming narrower traits called facets. It is exemplified in the widely used revised Neo-PRR, which divides each of the 5 domains down into 6 facets. But more than 2 levels exist. 2 constructs labeled alpha and beta, or stability and plasticity, appear to constitute the highest level of personality organization in the hierarchy, built around the Big Five. They have been described as meta-traits. Less attention has been paid to a level of trait organization located between facets and domains. It has been found that 2 genetic factors are responsible for the shared variance of the 6 facet scales that made up each of the Big Five in the Neo-PRR. Each of the domains appears potentially divisible into 2 subdomains with distinct biological sources. So there is a motivation for an intermediate level of personality structure. So extraversion, for example, is a primary Extraversion, for example, has a primary division in literature between agency and sociability. Some empirical support for such a division can be found in factor analysis of the Neo-PI. Assertiveness and activity facets of extraversion split off in a separate factor from other 4 facets. As for conscientiousness can be described as having both proactive and inhibitive aspects. Proactive aspects including such traits as need for achievement, and the inhibitive aspect including such traits as moral scrupulousness. Empirical support is present. The Neo-PRR and the ABS5C-IP were specifically designed to assess facets of the Big Five. But 2 of the Neo and B5C facets were subsumed with 2 factors labeled industriousness and orderliness, suggesting that conscientiousness has 2 primary subdomains. Recently, it was noted that 2 facets of agreeableness in the Neo-PRR, straightforwardness and modesty, have relatively weak loading on agreeableness. Good markers of factor labeled honesty humility in the 6-factor model presented as an alternative to the Big Five exist. It suggests that within the Big Five agreeableness, it might be possible to separate agreeableness into 2 subdomains. As for openness and intellect, it has become increasingly popular precisely because both labels apparently identify distinct but equally important aspects of the domain. 2 of the purest representations of the openness intellect domain are ideas and aesthetics facets of the Neo-PRR. As for neuroticism, different subdomains within neuroticism exist. Anxiety and fearfulness on one side and irritability on the other side are identified as distinct trait clusters. Now, as for genetic factors, there has been findings that 2 genetic factors underlie the shared variance of the facets in each of the Big Five domains, and it suggests that the trend toward identifying exactly two subfactors within each of the big five domains may represent more than mere coincidence or desire for parsimony. Facets were defined by dividing each of the 10 circumplexes with 6 axes located at 15 degrees, 45 degrees, and 75 degrees, and thus defining 12 sections of 30 degrees each. Adjective falling within each section or its polar opposite represent a facet.